So number one on the QR code review is asking us to identify and graph the vertex and axis of symmetry and the x-intercepts for this quadratic function. So the first thing I'm going to do is put it into standard form, which again is a times x minus h squared plus k. Sometimes I call this vertex form because you can see the vertex right off of it. So I'm going to start this by setting everything equal to 0. So I'm going to say x squared plus 8x plus 10 is equal to 0. I'll move my 10 over. So x squared plus 8x, and I'm going to leave some room for what we call the magic number. And I'll tell you what that is in a minute. Remember, that's that number that we complete on both sides to complete the square. So you look at the b value, which in this case is 8, take half of that, which is 4, and square it. That's 16 and 16. So that's the number that goes in both of those. Now, the whole reason for doing that is because this becomes a perfect square trinomial. Perfect square trinomial. It'll always factor down to x plus whatever this sign is, right? And then half of the b value. So this is going to be x plus 4 all squared. So if I multiplied this out, I would get x squared plus 8x plus 16. That's the whole point. On the other side, you'd have a 6. So writing your function in this form, f of x would be x plus 4 all squared minus 6. And the nice thing about this is you know exactly where the vertex is. The vertex is located at -4, -6. Remember, it's opposite sign on the inside there. The other thing it wanted you to do is to find the x-intercepts. So to find the x-intercepts, you can take it from here, from this moment right here, and solve for x. So if I take x plus 4 squared equals 6, I want to solve this for x. So x plus 4 is equal to plus or minus the square root of 6. So x is going to equal -4 plus or minus the square root of 6. So now when you do this, there are two answers that you can take. You can take the positive one, like -4 plus square root of 6, and the negative one. And so to show you how you would get that on your calculator if you need it, if you don't know where the button is. So here's my calculator, and I want to do -4 plus the square root of 6. So I would do I pushed it twice, -4 plus second square root 6. Get that answer? That looks like -1.55. I'm gonna round to 2 decimal places. So I've got -1.55. And then same thing again, right? -4 minus second square root of a 6. And it looks like -6.45 to 2 decimal places. So -6.45. Okay, so I've got the vertex. I also know the axis of symmetry is the line x equals -4, because it'll always go through the h component of the vertex. And then it also wants us to graph. So here's my graph set up. So my vertex is at -4, -6, so that's right down here. And then I also know my x-intercepts are -1.55, so that's like about there. And I could label this as -4 plus square root 6 on my graph. And then also -6.55 or 45. And I could label this one as -4 minus square root of 6 on my graph. The axis of symmetry is the line that goes straight through my vertex, and my vertex is right down here. And then I got enough information to kind of draw it up. And I also know that since my a value is 1, I go over 1 and up 1. So my graph is looking something like this, if I could draw it perfectly, and something like that. And that's everything that you would need for that first one. Big problem.